At SSDC, we have a process for writing our software. And it's a good process. It's kept us going for many, many years. Probably about 15 years now we've used this or a similar process. We've got a virtual private server. We do all our source code control. I'm not going to bore you with any of that. But the process works. There is circumstances now that have caused me to skip that process. And I made a terrible, terrible mistake. And I destroyed my project. I deleted it, tidying up where it was, and then I emptied the recycle bin. And then when I came to do the project, because I like to work on multiple projects at the same time, I came back to this one and nothing was where it ought to be. And yes, I know I was very angry with myself. It was an angry moment. But then it got me to thinking about how I can recover this project after I've emptied my recycle bin. So the process is not easy, but doable. It took me quite a while, but I thought if I shared it, then it will save people in a similar situation maybe some time. So the first thing you need is to download from the Windows store a thing called Windows File Recovery. So there's 1,000,001 companies that are going to sell you something, and file recovery, data recovery services. There's loads of them that will do this, but being a cheapskate and not trusting the advice of Google searches that sell me things, I went looking for my own route, and Windows File Recovery is the kiddie that did it. So let's load him up, and it comes up with one of those, and then it will load that. So what you have to have is another drive plugged in. So I've got a USB drive on drive D plugged in, and you type in the command win frc dot d dot. Then that can have a destination if you want. It will auto timestamp a destination anyway. You can have .regular if you want. Doesn't actually matter that much. It will default to regular. And then you use filters. So I tried all different types of filters and things. But the one useful filter I found was the directory of the project that I destroyed. Now, I do have in my repository a fairly up-to-date. So I didn't destroy the project and delete it completely. All I did was lose, I don't know, maybe about 2 or 3 days' work. But me being me, I get very frustrated doing the same thing over again. So I won't put the directory in there, but essentially you put the directory in. So I don't know, as an example, project, and to tell it it's a directory, you just go like that. You have to put it in inverted commas, as it says in the usage example there, if it's got spaces and things like that. So what that will do, we'll go through all recoverable files from the anything with a directory of project and below, and it will store them away. Now, because you're using a filter, it will store them away in a particular format, which is not terribly helpful. It's very helpful if you're looking for a particular type of file, but if you're trying to rebuild a project of multiple files, it's less helpful, and I'll show you why. So you run that, it takes a little while. And then it will reproduce, here's one I made earlier, a recovery directory. So you can see it's time stamped, so it's uniquely stamped with the time. And then it will separate stuff out a little bit for you, and stuff it doesn't recognise it puts into a thing called MISC. And these are just file suffixes. .bitmap. Aliases, so that's one of ours. Let's go down, there's VIs. Alright, so here you are. There's a whole heap of VIs. And you can ask it, so one of the questions it asks you is, do you want to overwrite or do you want to just add? I would use the just add, because, you might have deleted several things. So it gives you more options to sort of test if something doesn't work. And then it pukes it out like this. Flat. Well, my project isn't a flat project. So I want to rebuild it in its project form. So I wrote myself a little bit of code to look at my existing old project and replace or rebuild my new project with these bits that I found. Okay. So let's have a look at that code quickly. Bonk. You can see it here. So I call it a template project, which is the original project, old project, but it's got the file format. And that comes back. It brings in all the files with their full file paths. I then split off the bit that's different from this. So I'm actually just taking all of that out. Okay, and then I rebuild it to my rebuild path. Okay, so this is my rebuild path. So then I rebuild it to my rebuild path there. Then I go searching through my recovered directory here. So I take off the suffix and I look in that directory. So I'm looking for anything that's in my project. I'm looking for that file within my project. If the directory isn't built, I build it. So now it's are you there? If it's not, it builds it. And then if it's found, if we find the file, it then copies it across. So you're just rebuilding the project. And that worked reasonably well. So I got that back. This was probably after about a long 13-hour day of trying to work out what to do. The project then didn't load. Some of these files were corrupted. Some of them were the wrong ones. You can see here, there's the wrong ones here. But generally, you could, just because of the way we work and it's fairly cohesive, you could replace a lot of the tool kits within the project just with the old stuff. So I then went through a process of just overwriting stuff that wouldn't have changed. Generally, the way the level of project I'm at is I'm not in the API level. I'm actually at the top level, changing things in the state machine and things like that. So the changes I cared about were all at the top level. So I went through all of that, and then I spent many a happy hour in the dependencies and many a happy hour in broken things. But I got it back. Cost me, well, it probably cost me an hour of fury, which didn't help my productivity, and my poor daughter had to leave the room because I was so angry with myself. I was furious. Because I don't get angry if somebody else had made the mistake. I wouldn't have got angry, but I was so furious at myself, and I haven't done anything like this for like 15 years. This is a very rare occasion where I do something. The extenuating circumstances, I'll give myself maybe a 1 point out of 10 excuse, is that our virtual private server is getting quite full now, and I'm moving a lot of my projects over to the latest versions of Windows, where they were on LabVIEW, where they were on 2018. So my repositories are getting quite bloaty, and they need sort of tidying up. And I'm thinking of now, because I've got fast internet now, moving a lot of my Subversion type stuff and GitHub type stuff, my repository type stuff locally, and maybe then backing it up to my office, but rather than using a virtual private server, because it's costing me £50 a month, so I could probably get that down to something a lot less. But anyway, I thought this might help somebody. If it does, then you can thank me by liking and subscribing. If it doesn't, and you want to lecture me on Git, I'd suggest you leave a comment. I won't read it, because if it's got the word Git in it, I won't read it, because I find those discussions boring. And it doesn't make any difference to this. It would have happened with Git anyway, because I would have just deleted it. It might actually, in fairness, it may have made a difference if I'd had local copies saved. So maybe Git would have saved me. But this was it was just a stupid mistake. And it's nice in a way, that a stupid mistake has only cost me like 6-7 hours of graft to get it back, rather than I deleted the entire project and it's gone forever, but it's still annoying. Yeah, that's my pain. And thank you for listening.